This is the Holy Trinity Tulse electoral roll report for the 23 APCM. The parish electoral roll is the list of people who are eligible to take part in the annual church meeting, stand as members of the church council, or nominate and vote for people to that position. Anyone who lives in the parish or comes to church regularly can join the electoral church roll. This year, 2023, there are 127 people on the electoral roll, 2 have left and 9 have joined.
Yeah. This is the Secretary's report for our Parish Church Council, our PCC, from myself, David Jounsey. So who are your PCC trustees? We're formed of the clergy, which is Richard and William, church wardens Ava and Faye, and our reader Gloria. We're joined by our Deanery Synod reps, who are Adam and Jamie, and directly elected members. They include myself, David, Secretary, Malcolm, Treasurer, Alice, Becky, Gary, Georgie, Nicole and Yatunde. We each serve a term of 3 years, and retiring this year by rotation is Gary, plus our Deanery Synod reps. So what does the PCC do? Well, basically, we oversee all aspects of our church and of our fellowship. So that includes our main building, church grounds, community hall, finances, policy, and supporting and encouraging our leadership and ministry teams. And we try to meet about 8 or 9 times each year. In terms of church fellowships, that covers everything from mission partners through to our hospital ministry. So what have we been involved with in our church this year? So we receive regular updates from the ministry groups, supporting community money, socials such as the quiz evening, mosaic evening and games afternoons. We considered our response to the cost of living crisis, which included topping up our community larder and signposting help for people that needed it. We've continued our oversight of Phase 4 and encouraging our home groups. We also get involved deciding what our pledge should be to support the diocese in our annual funding pledge. We support our mission partners, we've reviewed our mission action plan, we oversee health and safety and safeguarding. And we've continued on our road to return as we come out of lockdown, this year reintroducing the Cup of Communion, prayer ministry and bringing the peace back into services as well. You'll have seen recently the new church projector we've organised, and we've recently also been busy planning for the parish weekend away, which is coming up in a few weeks' time. Thank you.
Hello everyone, I'm Ava and I've been church warden for 2 years now. The role can have its challenges, but nevertheless it is an interesting one. There is a lot of work that happens behind the scenes and some aspects that are more visible, looking after the building, keeping up to date with information wanted by the diocese, and providing support to others as and when needed. Within my last report, I mentioned that in July of 2021, Karen Botti, our architect, undertook the quinquennial inspection, which looks at all aspects of the church building every 5 years. The purpose of these inspections is merely a way of helping us to ensure that our building is kept in good repair. After what was a slightly frustrating wait, nearing the end of last year, we finally received the quinquennial report. The good news is, no major problems were mentioned. Although nothing major was highlighted, there were, however, 2 QI recommendations needing urgent attention. The first was to remove items from the turret exit route and repair the light. This work has been completed. The second was to make a good hole in the ceiling between the crypt and chancel. This has also been done. All other QI recommendations are currently pending but have been noted. One problem we still haven't managed to resolve yet is the large number of flies that appear, particularly in the church tower office, which has been a long-term problem. We have done some research into the situation and looked at various options to tackle the problem, but at present this is still a work in progress, with an aim to one day finding an effective and hopefully lasting solution. A brilliant development to our church building last year was the upgrade and installation of our new gas boilers by the Atlas Company. The boilers have proven to work well and effectively heat our building. The cost of the boilers was £37,000, with a remarkable contribution of £15,000 being raised from our gift day appeal. To maintain our new boilers, we decided having the same company who carried out the installation also do the service maintenance, which is always under review. The inspection will incorporate the domestic boiler as well as the main boilers and all the gas pipework from the gas meter to the appliances. Remarkably, this service contract has also worked out in our favour, proving to be 33.9% less than what we were paying last annum. After much consideration, prayers and discussions with family and friends, I have made the difficult decision to stand down. This has not been an easy choice to make, but at this moment in time it feels to be the right one. I'd like to take this opportunity to say a huge thank you to you all for your support in helping me to do the role, in particular my husband and my daughter, Richard, Faye, Malcolm, Nicole, Ruth, Jackie, and all PCC members. It has been a privilege and a pleasure to serve as church warden.
Hello, I am Faye Morris, Safeguarding Lead for Holy Trinity. The House of Bishops Statement 2017, Looking at a Safer Church, states that the care and protection of all children, young people and vulnerable adults involved in church activities is the responsibility of not just myself but the whole church. This is taking a whole church approach to safeguarding, as we all have a role to play. With that in mind, Trinity kids, seniors and youth ministry leaders and volunteers are renewed, their DBSs are renewed and done on a regular basis. At present, some are pending. Most of Trinity kids has been completed. So, in being a volunteer, it is expected that all volunteers are DBS checked. This is to ensure that we are operating as a safer church. If you do have a portable DBS and wish to volunteer, it does make life a lot easier because your DBS is portable. I have completed the safeguarding leadership training and plan to facilitate short training sessions within the church, so watch this space. As church warden, Ava and myself has worked closely with Richard, and we do meet with Richard intermittently to discuss matters relating to the church or himself. You could say we are his critical friend, who often provides that level of support that he may need as a vicar. It is a role we both enjoy and would welcome others to join us in supporting the church ministry. The role of a church warden, it is hard work, but it's also very rewarding and responsible. Thank you.
Worthy are you, Maker of all things. With your glory all creation rings. Worthy are you, Lamb of God, for upon this earth you trod. Power and honor, praise belongs to you.
Thank you very much to everyone who has contributed financially and in other ways to the life and mission of Holy Trinity. I'm here to present the PCC's annual report and accounts, the full version of which is available at the back of church. The first part of this document summarises the life of the church over the year and how the PCC operates. The second part provides more detail on our finances. 2022 was a year of steady consolidation as the church worked its way back towards pre-COVID levels of attendance and energy. And I'm pleased to say that over 2022, our finances remained in good shape. The straw bale build made significant steps forward. We were able to replace our church boilers, and our main fund recorded a roughly £11,000 surplus of income over expenditure. Shown here is a summary of our 2022 Statement of Financial Activities that's contained within our accounts. Charity Commission requirements differentiate between restricted and unrestricted funds. And in 2022, like in 2021, the majority of our income was restricted, mostly relating to the straw bale build. Cumulatively, we've spent around £750,000 on the build. Like last year, we've excluded the aggregate value of this build from the accounts, but not the income and expenditure relating to it. Most of the rest of our income and expenditure relates to our main fund, which forms the first column of this table titled Unrestricted Undesignated Funds. This is the fund that we tend to concentrate on at annual parochial church meetings because it relates to the church's day-to-day activities and running costs. The surplus recorded on this fund in 2022 shows up as the positive net movement in funds in that column. The next slide contains charts that provide breakdowns of income and expenditure for this fund in 2022. The income chart highlights the high proportion of income that comes from donations and from income tax reclaimed on those donations. The expenditure chart highlights the high proportion of expenditure going to the Diocesan Parish Support Fund. This is the mechanism the diocese uses to provide for clergy costs such as Richard's salary and other diocesan-wide activities. I'd be very happy to take any questions now or later about the details within the accounts, but can I finish by thanking God for his amazingly rich provision and by thanking you again for your generosity and support during 2022, both financial and non-financial.
Hello, this is the Deanery Synod report for Holy Trinity's APCM for 2023. Due to cancellations, due to illness and other unforeseen circumstances, the Deanery Synod only met twice in the 22-23 year. But it also did have a combined Ascension Day service at All Saints West Dulwich. When it does meet, it's an opportunity for a dozen or so churches in the deanery to get together, connect, share information, learning and worship. Its normal structure is to meet at one of the deanery churches, have an invited speaker, its formal meeting and then a short service. The two meetings in the last year discussed mental health issues in the parish setting. That was held at Emmanuel Church, West Dulwich. And end of life issues, that was held at West Norwood Cemetery Chapel. Thank you very much.
Here and now we bring ourselves to you. You have made our tear-stained world anew. Grief and pain will be of old as your daylight we behold. Alpha and Omega, Saviour God. Saviour God.
So the year 2022 to 23 has been one of both rebuilding and further development. With the retirement of Jim Maddox last year, we've continued to share out some of the many tasks that he selflessly undertook over several decades. But in recent months on PCC, we've also begun to talk about appointing a paid part-time administrator in order to support our finance team and also to unify many of the other administrative aspects of our ministry. And we see this role hopefully expanding once our new hall is ready for lettings. The PCC also took the decision to formally allow all children to receive Holy Communion, and this has now been ratified by the Diocese of Southwark. As has already been mentioned, in recent weeks, members of our youth church have been into Trinity Kids to start the process of teaching children more about the meaning of the bread and wine. Although legally our decision means that any aged child can help with distributing the sacraments, the PCC chose to normally limit that service to those in year 6 and older. And just for the record, children don't receive or serve the wine until they're confirmed. It's been a continuing joy to have our youth church members involved in running the church on the last Sunday of every month, whether operating the sound desk, the laptop, the live streaming, leading prayers, readings, welcoming, or singing with the band. They're shining examples and deserve all our thanks and encouragement, along with the younger children who help lead our kids and families church on the first Sundays. And by the way, most weeks we have over 50 views of our live stream, sometimes many, many more. We also faced another turning point with regard to our money advice and debt help service when Georgie Snyder said she'd be moving away in 2024. Having unsuccessfully sought a volunteer replacement for Georgie, we had to decide whether we valued the service enough as part of our mission to underwrite the establishment of a paid role. And the Church Council, the PCC, decided that we did. We now have someone who is ready to apply once we've sorted out a secure appointment process, and the target for our 2023 Trinity Sunday Gift Day on June the 4th will be to raise at least £15,000 to cover the first year's costs. We're also going to be applying for external funding for this role so that we can be in a position to see further than simply the next 12 months. So we've been rebuilding our church post-COVID and all that went with that period, but we've also begun to develop things. But this past year has also been a time of waiting. Back in 2021, through a chance conversation, it became clear that some of the land at the back of church, which we've always treated as our own, was not in fact registered in our name, but was still in the name of the lady who had given it, Ivy Burford. In fact, she didn't give it, she sold it to us for 10 shillings. Upon further and thorough investigation, we discovered that the PCC had been trying to get this matter resolved for the past 62 years through the diocesan solicitors and the land registry. During John Sentamu's time, however, the issue was mysteriously lost from view. It did, however, make sense of one of the drawings for the new church hall dating from his period as vicar, which contained the words, "Do not build beyond this line." We weren't aware of this when we planned and built our current design, stretching many, many meters across that line. So you can now see clearly the potential predicament that we were in. We fully believed that the land was ours and had paperwork to show it, yet this wasn't shown in the all-important land registry. Now, if you come to the monthly parish prayer meeting or were on PCC at the time, then you'll have heard me talking about this in those contexts. But for various reasons, of course, we couldn't risk publicising the situation until it was finally sorted. We put the matter once again into the hands of our diocesan solicitors and waited and waited and complained and waited and argued and waited and waited and waited. And then on Wednesday, just gone, we heard the good news that the land registry has agreed to all the arguments which were put forward and has redrawn our boundaries to include all of the land. The problem, which had gone through many twists and turns for more than 6 decades, was finally been resolved. Praise God. But I just want to make one final point. There was one point during the 1960s to 70s when the church wanted to clarify ownership of that land so they could sell it to raise funds. And in fact, of course, at that point in time, it would have raised a relatively small amount compared to what it's worth today. And we wouldn't have been able to build our new hall as we have it today. So maybe there's a little bit of God's providence in all of these twists and turns. And as for that part of our grounds, which we've sometimes referred to as the hill or even the orchard, I think we should now call it Ivy's Garden to commemorate one of our church's many generous benefactors. Thank you for being part of Holy Trinity Church, and I do hope that you continue to serve God through our fellowship in the coming years.
Grief and pain will